Please remain standing as I invite Reverend Lennox Boyce to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we acknowledge you today as the creator and sustainer of life, the one who made us in your image and likeness, crowned us with glory and honor, and gave us significance in your world. Thank you, Father, for blessing us with unique talents and gifts, for blessing us with unique passions and personalities which qualify us for the work that you have ordained us for and that you have called us to. Today we thank you for unions everywhere who represent the interests of workers across our world. We thank you for teachers' unions who defend the rights of educators and who engage in dialogue so that the voice of teachers is heard. But we thank you this evening especially for the work of the Barbados Union of Teachers. We thank you, Father, for its leaders and executive members and for their labor of love. We pray that as they fight for favorable conditions for educators, that you give courage for each battle that they face, strength for each fight. We pray that you give insight and wisdom for their negotiations. May their work be underpinned by the integrity of their hearts and by the skill of their hands. As they undertake the mammoth responsibility of seeking to ensure a properly functioning education system, we pray that they would be excellent stewards and that they will inspire all members of the Barbados Union of Teachers to be professionals whose work and conduct will make a positive difference in the life of every child and whose influence will transcend generations with the light that education brings. Bless and guide the leaders at every level of education in our nation, and may all our stakeholders with a sense of purpose and commonness seek to lift our nation and its people. May we do our work as unto you, and may we do it with all of our hearts. We pray that this conference will achieve all its purposes, and that in the multitude of experiences, participants will leave poised to be purposefully continuing their work and their calling. May your grace and peace be with us now and forevermore, we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Rudy Lovell, President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, the Honorable Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor, Social Security, and the Third Sector, the Honorable Cynthia Ford, Member of Parliament and Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, Deputy Chief Education Officer, Ministry of Education, Mrs. Joy Adamson, and other members of the Ministry of Education, members of the Executive Committee of the BUT. Let me recognize also those who serve, past and present members of the Executive Committee, the past presidents, the past general secretaries, and all those who serve on the executive. Dr. Abdon De Silva, President of the Congress of Trade Union and Staff Associations of Barbados, General Secretary of the Congress of Trade Union and Staff Associations of Barbados, Brother Dennis De Pisa, Richard Green, General Secretary, National Union of Public Workers, Pastor Lennox Boyce, members of the BUT, specially invited guests, members of the media, members of the Media Resource Department, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Now today, not today, let's say, this year, the Barbados Union of Teachers celebrates its 50th year as an independent organization. So for Eastman will say you have to clap for that. The theme this year is BUT 50 and beyond. Let me welcome all of you this evening to our opening ceremony for our 50th Annual General Conference. Special welcome to all those who serve. I see we have some presidents here, the past presidents. I guess the most senior is Brother Hutchinson. Brother Hutchinson, Dennis DePisa, Jeff Broom. Am I missing anybody else? Right? Current president, Mr. Lovell, is here. Some of the general secretaries, I'm seeing Dennis DePisa. And I know that Herbert Giddens is here. Right, but all those who serve, Sister Cynthia Ford, if you don't know, serve as a member of the executive as well. And I'm seeing Yvette, you serve as well. I'm searching. Tanya, Jackie, the two Jackies are there. Gilbert, Hallam, Patrona. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, when we say as you know, the Barbados Union of Teachers started as an independent organization back in 1974. At that time, the BUT existed as a unit of the National Union of Public Workers. At that time, it was called the Civil Service Association. BUT, the history goes back to 1895 under an organization called BESTA. Let me get it right. Barbados and Elementary School Teachers Association, right? And that organization represented teachers, particularly primary teachers, up until around the 50s, when the understanding is that government was not too keen on negotiating with too many organizations, so BESTA became a part of the Civil Service Association. Then, because of some internal wranglings, I understand it was financial in terms of then they felt that they weren't well represented as a group, and then you had the campaign for independence, led by the late Carol Springer and John Cumberbatch and others at the time, and a referendum was held. Then, I understand BUT had over 2,300 members, and over 1,800 of those members voted for BUT to come out and become the independent Barbados Union of Teachers. And here we are today, thriving, struggling, and fighting for teachers in Barbados. You have to clap for that. Okay, we're going to jump straight in and start with our fraternal greetings. And we're going to invite Brother Dennis DePisa, who's going to bring fraternal greetings on behalf of the Congress of Trade Union Staff Associations. Then our sister Tara will bring fraternal greetings from the National Union of Public Workers. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Brother Chair, Honorable Minister of Labor, Social Security and Interior Secretary, Brother Colin Jordan. No, I say brother. Honorable Cynthia Ford, Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mr. President, Brother Lovell, the Deputy Chief Education Officer, other representatives of the Ministry of Education, other members of BUT, distinguished colleagues, President, of course, of the Congress of Trade Union Staff Association, Brother Abdon De Silva, ladies and gentlemen, I believe I'm privileged to have been given the opportunity to bring the fraternal greetings on behalf of the Congress of Trade Union Staff Associations of Barbados. But I believe I'm given a greater privilege, being, I recall, one of those who would have been a member of the Young Brigade when BUT was first established in 1974. Those of us who joined that band of young persons who became members of the organization and who today are yet around, though they may not have any afro like Brother Brooms. Yeah, but we're all happy to be here and, of course, to share this occasion of celebration that marks the union that we all love and are committed to. And I say that against the background that Brother Hutchison would bear me out. We were at the same school where Brother John Combach, who was the mover of all this, and Shaker, and we all got captivated, motivated, and also what we call a word captured in the moments, and it became the radicals of the 70s, the 80s, and I don't know what happened to us after that. But this evening I bring greetings on behalf of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, and to say the celebration of its 50th anniversary by the Barbados Union of Teachers represents a high point in the history of the organization as an independent trade union. The Congress, in associating itself with this milestone, salutes the beauty on what is a historic moment for teachers, which comes subsequent to its registration as a trade union on August 2nd, 1974. SUSAB is delighted to celebrate the beauty, which it acknowledges as a founding member of the umbrella body. At this time of celebration, respect is due to the pioneers who were instrumental in the building of the vibrant beauty as a professional body for teachers, as a trade union which represents the interests of teachers. In reflecting on the history of the beauty, full recognition and commendation must be accorded to the late Carl Springer, who served as president of the Teachers Division of the Civil Service Association prior to the formation of the independent BUT. He's to be joined with the late John Henry Combach, the first president of the BUT. These are two champions and icons who've earned their place in the annals of history of this organization. Apart from these two distinguished gentlemen, the names of the late Marjorie Marshall and John Lovell, both former presidents, must have their names inscribed in the BUT Hall of Fame. Sister Marshall earned the title of the Mother of BUT. It was because of her actions and that of her late husband, the late Joshua Marshall, who was a real estate agent, that the BUT was able to acquire the ownership of the headquarters it has at Murray Hill, and later the 12-acre property of Huddersfield St. Michael, now known to us as the Academia Estates. Brother John Lovell will be remembered as the union's chief organizer. He went beyond the realms of organizing union membership and became one of the chief architects in the establishment of the Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited. As the BUT reflects on its legacy, a debt of gratitude is to be extended to all past presidents and general secretaries, and all who have given of their voluntary service in the building and development of this organization. Today, as teachers celebrate this milestone, the occasion must be used to remind the membership that this organization was founded as an independent body, and to instruct that it ought to remain the same in the years to come. The position was well and long articulated by John Combach, whom it was known was in the forefront of the fight for an independent BUT. In the foreword of the first annual report of the BUT of April the 5th, 1975, he wrote, and I quote, "The overwhelming success of the independent campaign itself was eloquent proof of the extent of disillusionment the teachers felt with the performance of the Civil Service Teachers Union under the National Union of Public Workers. The massive 90% vote from the total teachers population of 2,300 in the government service indicated also that teachers were confident in themselves, in their leadership, to entrust their professional and industrial relations destinies to an independent organization of teachers." End of quote. As the BUT celebrates its 50th anniversary, the current and future leaders of this organization are encouraged to move beyond the symbolism associated with the occasion. They're encouraged to engage in the process of redefining and reshaping the organization. It is imperative that this is done with optimism. If the union is to maintain its strength, character, and fortitude in a world that's undergoing a process of transformation, which is resulting in changes being made to the industry relations systems. It's to be observed that the apparent changes have implications for trade union organizing and collective bargaining. These, along with the removal of the regulatory frameworks and the exclusion of trade unions in the decision-making process, have implications for the employment relationship. The baton of leadership of this distinguished organization is now passed to a new generation of teachers who are expected to build on the legacy, work on the achievements of both what the predecessors have achieved and what they intend, of course, to have in the future. So what I would say now is solidarity to the Barbados Union of Teachers, and long may that organization live. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother DePisa. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The Honorable Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor, Social Security, and the Third Sector. The Honorable Cynthia Ford, Deputy Speaker of the House. President Rudy Lovell, Deputy Chief Education Officer Mrs. Joy Adamson, and other ministry officials. Dr. De Silva, President of C2SAB. Mr. Richard Green, General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers. Past presidents and executive members and present executive members, good evening. Good evening. Sorry, and I forgot to mention ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I bring to you the fraternal greetings from the National Union of Public Workers on this, our 50th anniversary. The National Council, Executive Committee, and Secretariat of the National Union of Public Workers extend proud fraternal greetings to the Barbados Union of Teachers on your 50th Annual General Conference. Milestone anniversaries invoke extraordinary emotion and reflection. The NUPW stands in solidarity with you as we reflect on our celebration of 80 years as a trade union. Having chosen BUT 50 and beyond as your theme confirms that during your general conference, you will not only reflect on your past work and achievements, but that you will also strategize for the promising future which lies ahead. It has been recognized that through steadfast and consistent commitment to the collective interests of teachers, your membership continues to repose confidence in your union. If the BUT reinforces its core values of print and principles, renewal and strengthening is anticipated. Continue to be a strong advocate for the social, economic, and spiritual well-being of your members, and may your protection of the rights of your constituents remain unwavering. May this conference be a platform for fruitful discussion and meaningful exchange of ideas as it forges stronger bonds with your membership and your partners. The NUPW also reminds you that your annual general conference is a time for celebration. Do not miss the opportunity for wholesome engagement. Salute each other. Smile. Hold hands. Embrace. More is achieved when there is comfort in each other's presence. So you can smile and embrace at this point. The NUPW wishes you a rousing and successful conference in solidarity from the National Union of Public Workers.
Thank you, Sister Tara, and also thank you also, Brother Green. Let me extend a special welcome to Carla and Travis Springer. Though, as you know, those are the children of Carl Springer, the late Carl Springer. Special welcome. You know you're here representing Dad. If he was around, he would certainly turn out this evening. Definitely. We will keep saying that we miss him. Let me also extend welcome to one of our past presidents, Pedro Shepherd, who joined us. Also, I forgot Brother Winston Messiah, past treasurer, and Sister Keisha. Thanks for joining us. Now, earlier I spoke about a referendum held by the members of the BUT back in 1974. That referendum was held on May 27th, 1974. Hutch, you were there? Right. And it said that 1,819 persons voted to support that movement to an independent organization. On the 29th of June, a special general meeting ratified the BUT's new constitution. Trade union registration was achieved on August 2nd, 1974, and the government recognized the union as the sole bargaining agent for teachers in the public service on September 5th, 1974. Mr. Green, you were still at school? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, despite all the rumblings you may hear in the media, the BUT and the Ministry of Education continues to have a very cordial relationship. We have Mrs. Joy Adamson, the Deputy Chief Education Officer, who will bring remarks this evening on behalf of the ministry on the 50th anniversary of the BUT.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Minister of Labor, Social Security and the Third Sector, the Honorable Colin Jordan, the Honorable Cynthia Ford, Mr. President and members of the Barbados Union of Teachers, executive members and other members, specially invited guests, fellow educators, both past and present, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. What Herbert said was true. We do have a very cordial relationship with the Barbados Union of Teachers. And therefore, it gives me great pleasure as a former teacher and a trade unionist. Yes, I spent a lot of years with all the names of the persons that we heard this afternoon as a member of the executive member of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union. And therefore, I am pleased to have been invited to bring greetings on behalf of the Ministry of Education at this opening ceremony of your General Conference as you celebrate BUT 50 and beyond. 50 years ago, Mr. Green, I was still in school. Primary school, should I stress that? I'm probably not nursery, but primary. The leaders of the Barbados Union of Teachers laid the foundation for the development of the education landscape as we know it today. And I want to thank Brother DePisa for giving us that context, because I learned a lot this afternoon from his greetings. I realize that some of those persons, those founding members, are still with us today, and we can learn from them. Things are a lot different now in 2024 than they were in 1974. But we want you to learn from the others and move forward. Your 50th anniversary is a time to emphasize the qualities that BUT must preserve or acquire to make it into another 50 years. Over the last half century, you have survived recessions, health crises, all of us, technological changes, and societal transformations, and a whole host of other innovations and events that could have resulted in a reduction in your membership. But you're still here strong. You stayed the course. And yes. The next 50 years will likely be even more challenging. So this milestone can be used to put a stake in the ground for how you prepare for what is to come next. Moving forward, let us focus on the future and not the past. Let us focus on how you will continue to educate your members on the policies and legislations related to their service as they educate the nation's children, our future. Let us make sure that you focus on making sure your members understand the Public Service Act, the Education Act and Regulations, the Computer Misuse Act, the Sexual Harassment Prevention Act, and the Health and Safety at Work Act. Yes, we're working to make sure that our schools and the environments in which your members operate and our students operate, that they're safe. Let us focus on identifying continuing educational training programs so that we can share them with the Urdeston Teachers Training College, with UWI and NTI, so that your members are equipped for the coming transformations. Let us focus on helping your members understand the chain of command and respect due to supervisors and employers. Let us focus on charting a bright future for every child. I was told I had 2 minutes. I didn't time, so I think my 2 minutes is up, Mr. President. But on behalf of the Ministers of Education, the Honorable Kay McConney and the Honorable Sandra Husbands, our Chief Education Officer, who is on duty leave and couldn't be here this afternoon, and other officers of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, extend best wishes to the Barbados Union of Teachers as you start this annual conference and as you celebrate this golden milestone. It is with sadness, and I don't want to put a damper, but this morning we learned about the passing of one of our members who was an executive member of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Mr. Fernando Carter. It was a shock to the entire ministry, and I can tell you little work was done there today. But we will live on, we will move on, and we remember his legacy, his contribution that he made to the Barbados Union of Teachers, and all of those who have passed, what they have done. We need to continue to work to make sure that we look out for the human resource, which we now boast as our greatest resource in this country. To build our future, we need to ensure that the rights of the personnel who give instruction to the future are protected, our teachers. Congratulations on 50 years. Continue to move on. Mr. Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, Madam Joy. And we will take to heart your advice about our members learning the various pieces of legislation. But I want you to take that back also and let the leaders also learn them as well. It works both ways. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joy. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. Just and I'm sharing a little bit as I go on the history of beauty, and just to inform that the first executive of the committee of the Barbados Union of Teachers, come on, computer. The president was John Cumberbatch, the late John Cumberbatch. Vice President Harriet Jones, General Secretary, the late Alfred Trotman. I don't know if I can call late in front of all of these, so please forgive me. Deputy General Secretary John Haynes, Treasurer Kenneth Fairguard, I think he's still around. I know the late Rudy Gibson, I know he died sometime last year. Adulia Regis, Anthony Hinkson, John Lovell, and Carl Springer served as executive members. And with that, I'm going to invite our hardworking President, Brother Rudy Lovell, to bring, I will call it the State of the Union, the President's address.
Before I begin, I want you to join me in a minute's silence to recognize the passing of Mr. Fernando Carter. You may stand, please. May he rest in peace. Five decades strong, beauty 50 and beyond. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 50th Annual General Conference of the Barbados Union of Teachers, BUT. Featured speaker, the Honorable Colin Jordan, the Minister of Labor, Social Security and the Third Sector. Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, a representative for the parish of St. Thomas, the Honorable Cynthia Ford. Deputy Chief Education Officer and my good friend, Mrs. Joy Adamson. Other representatives of the Ministry of Education, Mr. Abdon De Silva, President of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, Mr. Dennis De Pisa, General Secretary of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Association of Barbados, Mr. Richard Green, General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, past presidents, general secretaries, and executive members of the Barbados Union of Teachers, other guests, executive members of the Barbados Union of Teachers, members of the Barbados Union of Teachers, members of the media. Mahatma Gandhi notes, and I quote, that strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from an indomitable will, end quote. I dare say that the BUT has shown this will over the past 50 years. The formation of the BUT goes back to 1895 with the formation of the Barbados Elementary School Teachers Association, BESTA. The BUT has made significant strides throughout the years, either as BESTA or as the BUT. These include the right for female teachers to be married and remain in the teaching profession in the 1940s, the enactment of the first Teachers' Pension Act in 1925, the Silander's case in 1974, where the movement of 28 teachers and the dismissal of 14 for protesting saw the union intervene in July of that year. After a demonstration of solidarity by over 1,000 teachers, the dismissed teachers were reinstated. The BUT is credited with the formation of the Barbados Teachers Cooperative Credit Union Limited, which was established on the 1st of July, 1967. In the early days, the credit union was located at our Mary Hill headquarters. Another major achievement of the union was the purchase of acres of land in the 1970s at Hardersville St. Michael for housing development. In 1975, the government moved to retrench all unqualified teachers who had been recruited at a time when there was a serious brain drain. These teachers, some of whom had only one certificate, English language, had worked hard to prop up the system during this time, but were not reinstated. The union rallied its members, secured a stay of execution, and held classes at the BUT headquarters to assist those teachers in qualifying for the teaching service. In 1989, the BUT started its Teachers' Week celebrations. The John Cumberbatch Memorial Lecture and the President's Reception are the hallmarks of this week. The BUT organized primary school sports from the 1970s. In 2001, there was an amalgamation of the BUT Fruity Sports and the National Sports Council Milo Sports to form the National Primary School Athletic Championship, NAPSAC, one of the most successful athletic championships in the Caribbean. Another victory for the union was the Louis Link Secondary School case. In this matter, teachers and students had complained for as far back as the 1980s about ailments including respiratory complaints. The union fought a long and hard battle and had to seek the intervention of C2SAB and the social partnership. This resulted in the closure of the school in 2005. In 2016, members of the BUT had their salaries docked for attending 2 meetings called by the union. The matter was placed before the law court, resulting in teachers being reimbursed their docked salary in 2020. Similarly, in 2014, the terms associated with the granting of term vacation leave were unilaterally altered by the Ministry of Education. And, like the docking of pay, this was taken to the law court. In December of 2023, the written judgment was handed down. The judge wrote that the Ministry of Education cannot make unilateral changes to the terms and conditions that govern teachers without consultation with their representatives, as outlined in the general orders. In September 2023, the union fought an attempt by the Ministry of Education to abate teachers' summer vacation period by 1 week. The BUT indicated its opposition to the proposal and stood its ground. In during Teachers Week 2023, the BUT embarked on an initiative called the Top Tier Teacher Award to recognize the work done by our educators. 11 teachers were awarded as top-tier teachers for their contribution to education. Again, I congratulate those teachers as we look forward to this being an annual event. For over a decade, the BUT has highlighted environmental issues at the St. John Primary School, where teachers and students were continually falling ill. In December 2023, after several days of teachers refusing to enter the mold-infested building, and with parents lending support via a protest, the ministry closed the school indefinitely. In addition to the above, the BUT has made significant strides in resolving numerous environmental concerns, ensuring safer and healthier teaching and learning environments for many. Given our rich history, the past and present executive members must be commended for their efforts in ably leading the BUT over the past 50 years. These people include our presidents: John Cumberbatch, 1974 to 1979, Marjorie Marshall, 1979 to 1980, John Lovell, 1980 to 1981, Victor Hutchinson, 1981 to 1987, Desmond Brown, 1987 to 1989, Ronald Jones, 1989 to 1995, Jeff Brooms, 1995 to 1997, Dennis DePisa, 1997 to 1998, Harcourt Husbands, April 1998 to December 1998, Undine Whitaker, 1999 to 2003, Karen Bess, 2003 to September 2012, Pedro Shepard, October 2012 to 2018, Sean Spencer, 2018 to 2020, Pedro Shepard, 2020 to 2022, and Rudy Lovell, the 5th of February 2022 to present. At this time, I encourage past and present executive members to stand and be acknowledged. Past and present. Thank you. Five decades strong, BUT 50 and beyond. Even though he did not assume the role of president in the independent BUT, the late Carol Springer JP was a true champion of workers' rights and a founding member of the Barbados Union of Teachers. His dedication and passion and steadfast commitment to improving the lives of teachers have left an indelible mark on the members of the BUT and the teaching profession. The cover of the Outlook magazine, dated June to August 1989, notes, and I quote, "Carol Springer it was to whom in 1969 a growing number of vocal assistant teachers turned to lead them like Moses out of the political grip which the primary head teacher then held over teacher trade unionism." His election to the presidency of the BUT organization, then a division of the Civil Service Association, now the National Union of Public Workers in that year, was part of a general campaign by assistants who were not only asking the head teacher leaders to go wrong, but also critically examining the overall leadership of the General Civil Service Employee Association, end quote. The Outlook magazine goes on to say, the campaign led to the heaviest election vote in the union's history, and it may have been felt that Carol and not the issues was responsible for the turnout at the Bethel Auditorium, which swept the old guard out of this leadership complacency. Therefore, Mr. Springer led the union from 1969 to 1973 until it was ready to make its way once more into organizational independence from the General Civil Service body. Brother Springer was one of those members who contributed in the early days to the purchase of acres of land at Hottesville St. Michael, now called Academia Estate. A road in the development, Carol Springer Drive, is named after this giant of a man. Mr. Springer went on to become a trustee for the union, a position he held until his death on the 1st of February 2024. His legacy will certainly live on. May he rest in peace. Five decades strong, BUT 50 and beyond. Like those who went before, this executive aims to lead with passion and inspire generations. The BUT represents educators from primary to tertiary. As the president of this union, I stand before you today with a profound sense of responsibility to share our concerns and outline our plans. While our teachers pour their hearts into shaping young minds, our educational landscape continues to be burdened by challenges. I will place these into three broad areas which demand immediate attention. These are health and safety, remuneration, and the reform of our educational landscape. While attention has been given to the educational reform drive, the creation of a teaching service commission, and the introduction of master teachers, the health and safety of school occupants and the late payment of increments and salaries are worrying as they place teachers under stress. The BUT will not allow teachers and students to be negatively impacted by safety and health issues, while the Ministry of Education officials engage in sightseeing by having several people visit schools to view areas of concern instead of urgently addressing these environmental and other issues. Despite the long wait to have some issues addressed, at times shoddy work is done and the issues are not adequately resolved and may place people at risk of falling under their own weight. We will continue to follow industrial relations protocol and inform the Ministry of Education in writing and verbally of our concerns. Despite public announcements made by both parties, the relationship between the BUT and the Ministry of Education is healthy. Please note that because we often have different views, this does not mean that we are enemies. The BUT will keep all lines of communication with the Ministry of Education open. The BUT acknowledged the efforts made by the Ministry of Education and the government of Barbados to address some educational issues, but cannot overlook the stark realities faced by our educators and students. Some of our schools struggle with restricted spaces, outdated resources, aged infrastructure, unsuitable teacher furniture, and a lack of essential support systems. Educators face daunting workloads and limited resources, hindering their ability to provide education to our students. Teachers' workload keep increasing while the pay and time allocated remain constant. As an example, online responsibilities like marking registers, digital scheme books, and report cards all make retrieval of data easier, but more time is needed to input this information, which at times is difficult to do at school due to internet connectivity challenges. Marking and uploading school-based assessments are also problematic. Additionally, teachers are facing ongoing obstacles and difficulties with the open email system every term. which impacts their ability to complete their reports on time, despite their diligence and effort. The union is calling for the Ministry of Education to improve the situation and for better support and resources to enable teachers to fulfill their obligations effectively. As a trade union, we have advocated for improvements. We have voiced concerns, presented viable solutions, and engaged in constructive dialogue. Yet the pace of change could be faster and needs to catch up to the urgency demanded by our educational challenges. Hence, there is need to allocate adequate resources, modernize infrastructure and technology, and provide comprehensive support for our educators. Improved wages, manageable workloads, and professional development opportunities are not luxuries, but essential pillars of a modern education system. It was recently reported that the Education Reform Initiative has been postponed until 2026. Like you, we had to read it in the media, and we are often referred to as stakeholders. Nevertheless, this means that we may have to wait at least 2 more years to have some of the areas of concerns mentioned above addressed. Numerous factors serve to negatively impact the delivery of education, including mental health challenges faced by teachers. The state of our mental health contributes to our overall well-being. It affects how we feel, think, and react to or around other people. The mental health of teachers, as that of all members of society, can be negatively impacted because of several factors, including increased workloads, late payment, school violence, workplace safety and health issues, chronic stress, and other work-related issues. The public often talks about the amount of vacation teachers receive. However, some teachers are responsible for a minimum of 100 students and up to 180 students or more. Despite this, students' books are corrected. Teachers prepare to teach their classes every day. Students' exam papers are corrected. Students' reports are prepared and collated for dissemination. This does not include extra lessons during lunchtime or vacation period to prepare for external exams or extracurricular activities. Imagine the weight teachers carry. They are expected to be educators, mentors, parents, and counselors all in one. Hence, failure to address issues of teacher burnout can result in negative consequences for the teaching and learning process. These include elevated absenteeism, presenteeism, and student and teacher frustration, among other things. Given this, every effort should be made by the Ministry of Education to address the mental health issues faced by teachers, including reinstating the term's vacation leave in its original form to allow teachers to adequately rest and rejuvenate to meet the demands of the teaching and learning process. The BUT has written to the Ministry of Education requesting a meeting to discuss the terms and conditions of termed vacation leave for teachers. The BUT has long championed the cause of enhancing literacy and numeracy education in Barbadian primary schools and expressed our support for the initiative to introduce specialized teachers for this purpose. This initiative is crucial for improving the teaching and learning process in schools. For years, the BUT has passionately advocated for the establishment of a Teaching Service Commission, and we support the announcement made by the Prime Minister regarding the implementation of this commission. This is not the first such announcement, but we hope that it will be the last. Our support is driven by the belief that the complexities and nuances of the teaching profession require specialized attention and understanding. The union's advocacy stems from the recognition that the Ministry of Education has the biggest staff complement in government, and that the teaching service differs significantly from other sectors of the public service, and that its distinct needs and challenges are difficult to adequately address by the overarching Public Service Commission. The Prime Minister's inclusion of the Teaching Service Commission in her budgetary speech signals a landmark moment for educators across Barbados. This commission will ensure that focus is given to matters relating to recruitment, promotion, and, if needed, the discipline of teachers. Let's hope that is not needed. We hope that the establishment of this commission will also address the issue of the late payment and increments and other monies owed to teachers. We are also hopeful that the commission can lead to the ratification of various assignments in the teaching service. While the hiring of numeracy and literacy teachers is welcome, it would be remiss of me not to address the continued teacher shortage again in some schools. Even though the evidence of this shortage is glaring, the BUT had to fight to have temporary primary school teachers reassigned in September. Despite this, the shortage persists. Schools are operating with inadequate staffing because the ministry is not hiring any new teachers to replace those who are on leave. The BUT receives concerns weekly from stressed-out teachers who are forced to carry an additional burden because of a lack of replacement for teachers who are on leave. Meanwhile, the ministry sees hiring communication specialists and stakeholder relations consultants as a priority. They even hired a lady who ushered anti-rhetoric, teacher rhetoric on a radio station during the COVID-19 pandemic. What a reward. Matters related to teachers, such as the payment of increments and salaries, are delayed due to inadequate staff at the Ministry of Education in some instances, as only a few people are charged with dealing with the over 2,000 primary and nursery school teachers. This department can do with additional staff. Let's hope that the Teaching Service Commission will resolve this problem. We also hope that the establishment of the Teaching Service Commission will coincide with a review of the 2016 Public Service Qualifications Order. A detailed examination of this document suggests that the qualification bar is set higher for senior educators than for senior public servants. And it also does not consider senior educators with many years of experience who are not certified beyond a degree or diploma in education. Teachers with 15 or more years of experience in administration who do not have either a master's degree or diploma in educational leadership and want to become senior managers should be considered for these posts. This previously existed, and the result was the development of a cadre of excellent principals. Additionally, teachers who possess a master's in educational leadership from the University of the West Indies should not have to complete a diploma in educational leadership. In addition, the BUT believes that there are too many unappointed teachers in the school system, and we are suggesting that teachers with 3 years continuous service without any written adverse report be appointed to the service. The late payment of temporary teachers can be significantly reduced if these teachers are appointed. As those in the past did, the present executive committee continues to address member issues and was kept busy over the year in review with safety and health issues and those related to the late payment of increments and salaries for teachers. The schools that experience major issues include St. Bartholomew Primary School, which has been affected by the incinerator at the airport, the St. John Primary School, where mold was a major concern and resulted in the school being closed, the Ann Hill School, Lusason Primary, Springer Memorial School, Frederick Smith Secondary, St. Giles Primary, the Lodge School, and the Lesterbourne School also had significant issues. For the delivery of education to be effective, the Ministry of Education must urgently and adequately address occupational safety and health issues. To support this focus, the BUT is once again calling for continued training for schools' safety and health committees. The BUT will continue to focus on the health and safety of its members and the nation's children. In April 2023, at our annual General Conference, it was noted that, I quote, "the absence of security personnel or adequate security can be a challenge and may expose school occupants to intrusion or acts of violence," end quote. Well, this became a reality on the 15th of June 2023 at the Frederick Smith Secondary School, where a member of the public allegedly sexually assaulted a student. At the annual General Conference, the BUT also called for all schools to be assigned adequate security personnel, for safety audits to be conducted at all public schools in Barbados, and that any security gaps found be immediately rectified. We are renewing this call. After the Frederick Smith incident, the Minister of Education said that a national policy for security at all schools is needed. It was due to be implemented in September 2023. The BUT is hopeful that this policy will soon be implemented. The BUT remains deeply concerned about the increase of violent incidents in schools and among school children, which does not only pose a threat to students themselves, but to teachers, ancillary staff, citizens, and even visitors to these institutions. Acts of violence at our schools or by our school children only serve to diminish the positive gains teachers and students are making in the educational system. Tackling violence in society and schools is a mammoth task. We believe that parents need to play a greater role in directing their children towards positive behavior. Additionally, an all-of-country approach is needed to tackle this very troubling and frightening issue. As I conclude, I reflect on the issues that have impacted teachers throughout the year. I note that health and safety, remuneration, and the call for changes to our educational system are constant. I was reminded by an industrial relations attorney in Trinidad that the system is designed to frustrate the workers' representatives, as he compared the relationship between the employer and the trade union to the Tom and Jerry show, suggesting that if one gets rid of the other, the show will end. Is this an indication that these issues will always be present? I guess an assessment can be made 50 years from now. 5 decades strong, BUT 50 and beyond. Let us carry forward the flame of passion, perseverance, and progress that has fueled us for half of a century. Let us embrace the future with renewed vigor, unity, and purpose, ensuring our legacy of excellence and innovation endures for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Solidarity forever. Long live the BUT.
Thank you, Brother Rudy Lovell. Firing in all cylinders. I think after that speech, we really deserve to have a lighter moment. We're going to have one of our teachers from the St. Stephen's Primary, Miss Sanjina Curtin, to bring us a solo. Sanjina, you're ready? Okay. It's all yours.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me, and all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. For all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You were close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as my friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. For all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. When my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. When my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. For all my life you have been faithful. For all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you, Sanjina. Tempted to say encore, but hold that until next time. And as we continue to speak about the history of the Barbados Union of Teachers, do you remember that in 1976, you weren't there? Speak to mommy. The government legislated public servant salaries without settlement for the first time. The beauty demonstrated outside the Parliament on Tuesday, the 22nd of June. It was the only public protest against the government's breach of the principles of collective bargaining. In the 1978 negotiations, this is how the government gets back at you. They tried to exclude the BUT from the negotiations table. They accused the late John Cumberbatch of breaching confidentiality in the negotiations. However, the union held firm against the scare tactic and prevailed in the circumstances. Long live the BUT. Honorable Colin Jordan, I saw you taking notes. You need paper? You're covered? Good. So it's okay, it's okay. Now our speaker, I'll just say a little about you. Colin, it's okay? Right. The Honorable Colin Jordan is the Minister of Labor, Social Security and the Third Sector. He also has responsibility for the social partnership and religious affairs. He's a member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Peter. He's currently the chair of the government's Social Justice Committee. He represents Barbados on the governing body of the International Labour Organization, ILO, as you know. He spent 25 years in the tourism industry, serving on the board of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, the BHTA, for many years, and also served as its president for 2 years. He's an elder in his church. I think that's the Seventh-day Adventist, Colin. He has served on the executive committee of the Eastern Caribbean Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists. It is my view, given some lashes that shared this evening too, that as the Barbados Union of Teachers celebrates its 50th year, that it is quite appropriate that we invite the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Colin Jordan, to address the ceremony. Stage is yours, sir.
I'm good. No, there's nothing against Mr. Gittins. No, nothing to do with his shortcomings either. And that was one of your members who said that. That's one of your members. I would not engage in that kind of behavior. Not as an invited guest. We'll talk about that after. I'm not going to go through the full protocol, but I must recognize my colleague, the mother to a lot of us in Parliament, the Honourable Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly, Ms. Cynthia Ford, President and Secretary, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all. I didn't want to isolate you, Deputy Chief. Some of the licks were a little bit warm, so I had to make some notes. It is really my pleasure to be here to share with you on this important anniversary. 50 years is a long time. For those of us who have not too long gone past 50, General Secretary, we're not talking about you. But for those of us who have not long gone past, we realize that it is a long time, and it is a significant milestone that you have reached. Now, accepting the invitation to share with you was not difficult. Going into fora where there are trade unions, you never know what to expect, Mr. Shepherd. You never know what to expect. All kinds of things can come at you. But I've had the privilege, I would say, of engaging with trade unions for many years before I got involved in this phase of my life. So I'm not daunted by having to engage with unions. As a matter of fact, I think the work of the trade union movement has been significant in moving our country forward, in spite of the fights that we have had. So I'm not saying that it's been smooth. In spite of the fights that we have had, we have seen significant progress through the interaction between workers' representatives and employers' representatives. And it is in that context that I will not accept the words of anybody out of Trinidad who speaks about industrial relations. My view is that our practice is not theirs. It gets kind of well, I didn't want to use the words, and I'm not sure if there are any Trinidadians here, but I say that without any apology. We have a way of practicing industrial relations, and we must maintain it. We must work hard to ensure that it is not destroyed. We have a very, while aggressive sometimes, gentlemanly and ladylike way of approaching our relationship. So the words you hear up here today, strong words, we're accustomed to those. I've been in rooms where union leaders stand up and take the chair and smack it onto the table. But we understand that that is part of the culture that we've developed. At the end of the day, what I've seen is that we're all interested in the same outcome. But the second reason why it was easy for me to accept the invitation is because both of my parents were teachers, and between the two of them would have given about probably 75 years of their lives to this noble profession. Now, when I left home, I thought I'd gotten away, but my wife is a teacher. And so I had to be very careful in terms of my facial. I'm not sure where those cameras were spotting when both the General Secretary and the President were speaking. And you know how it is with people who are in political life, Mr. Shepherd, you get memes. So while I got to pick on somebody who was in a similar position to me. So while I was hearing about low pay and all these kinds of things, I had to be very careful with my facial expressions, because I know of when my wife was teaching in the primary section of the system. I remember feeling at one point that my family was supporting, no, not the school, the place at the corner of Bay Street, Laurie Dash, and those places that sold all the things, and the $3 store. I thought that we were supporting those institutions, but those businesses. So I understand some of what teachers experience in terms of what they have to spend their money doing. But 50 years is significant, as I indicated earlier. 50 years of existence means that you have endured struggles and that you have succeeded through those struggles. A number, you must forgive me because I am a member of a political party. So I have to say that a lot of what I heard in terms of the challenges over the years seem to have been when a different party was in office. The last thing I looked at, I just told the president, I heard about legislating salaries. And so I had to double check to see when the election in 1976 was. Because I heard the reference to that is how governments get back at you. When I checked, you said that the legislating happened in June. It was you who said that. And the election was in September. So I just wanted to clear the air on that matter. But allow me to share for a few minutes some thoughts in terms of the contribution of teachers to a society. And like I said earlier, this comes both from observation, from the perspective of a citizen, and now as a minister responsible for labor, but also growing up in a house where there were always books and red pens, and teaching is an interesting thing. Madam Adamson, when one of your colleagues came to work with me, I grew up, former president, I grew up seeing red pens used to make amendments, adjustments to documents. So I started my ministerial life using a red pen when there were things to be adjusted. And I was told in no uncertain terms that you don't use red pens in the public service in that kind of a way, because it harks back to school. But that is the impact that living with teachers has had on me. I almost lost my job because of living with teachers. But teachers contribute significantly to the economic and social life of a country. And all of the research speaks to the significance of that contribution. One that I want to share, because having a bit of a love for economics causes me to indicate that research shows that for every additional year of schooling, 0.37% is added or can be added to the annual GDP of a country. The gross domestic product, the total output of what a country produces. There's a McKinsey report that speaks to how the world's best performing school systems come out on top. And it suggests that effective educational systems can boost GDP by up to 2% over a 20-year period. That alone should speak to us about the importance at the macroeconomic level of education, and there's no education without educators. And so the significant contribution that teachers make in the educational system, but beyond just the educational system, the recognition that the educational system that you are all a part of contributes significantly, meaningfully, directly to national development and to our gross domestic product. There is, from the economic perspective, the matter of developing people, and some folk refer to people as human capital. I don't like those kinds of terms because you are like me. I'm a human being. I'm not sure what human capital means and all those fancy terms. But you contribute significantly to developing people and to developing future workers. And those workers that you help to develop then develop the country. And so that is a direct contribution that you make as educators to our national development. Education allows persons to more easily access job opportunities. And so your work also contributes to the reduction of unemployment. Reduction of unemployment also assists with social security systems. The less unemployment benefits that are paid, then the less stress that is put on social security systems. Teachers, once you do your job well, spark interest in students and cause students to want to explore. And so when it comes to issues like innovation and research, teachers can be catalysts for young people to develop new ideas, things that are different. I always say, I didn't walk my cell phone, but there is nobody, and I don't mean to disrespect any of you because I have a lot of gray now in my beard, some of it caused by interacting with trade unions, but nobody with as much gray in their beard as me will develop something like a cell phone. It just doesn't happen. As you get older, you get to know what is possible and what is not possible. The youngsters whose minds are tickled and stimulated think that things are possible that sometimes even their teachers believe are not possible. And so we get qualitative change, real innovation, when teachers stimulate minds. And those minds, the output of those minds then go way beyond what may have been in the teacher's minds. But that is the impact that you can have on your students. That is the impact that you can have on a country and its development. Now, civic participation is another way in which educators influence students and society. All the extracurricular activities that teachers sometimes are called on to participate in, sometimes volunteer to participate in, are demonstrations to young people of what is possible when people commit to giving back. We're living increasingly in a society where it seems as though it is everybody for themselves. There is a lot of what I will plainly call selfishness in our society. Now, I'm not blaming anybody for this selfishness, but what I'm saying is that those who are not selfish often reflect on the fact that they had a teacher at some school who caused them to go in some particular direction, who allowed them to recognize that they needed to contribute either to a club, to their community, to their village, to their household. Teachers are important when it comes to civic participation. Some teachers even influence people to get involved in politics. You may not think that is a good thing, but if a country is to be managed properly, then those who end up managing the country have to have been taught properly, so that whether or not you like political life or politics is not the issue, but those who end up in those positions need to have benefited from a sound education. And so your impact goes way beyond the areas that you may have an interest, but they will impact you at some point. Now, beside the economic contribution, and I started with the economic contribution, even though I said that we see workers as people. I started with the economic because I wanted to move on to the social contributions that you make. The cohesion of a society has a lot to do with how young people learn to resolve conflict. You've heard before that we are living now in an era where it seems as though students are unaware of how to solve conflict. I want to encourage you not to get disillusioned. I want to encourage you, well, I am encouraging you, not I want to, I'm encouraging you not to get disillusioned. I'm also encouraging you to put what we see in today's world into a bit of context. And this is the reason why I say this. I spoke to a station sergeant not too long ago who told me that every day at school he fought. Every day he was involved in a fight. Now, just like you, I went to school. And there were fights all the time. Now, I never knew, I went to Black Bess. Those who grew up with me, most of them went to All Saints. I never knew of the All Saints fights because we didn't have social media. Everything is now magnified. There's also the matter of access to implements. I believe that there was a time when people who had cutlasses, well, we used to call them Collins, but I never like using that term because it's my name. But there was greater care taken with respect to protecting young people and children from access to these things. And that's why I'm very happy that even though there's a sad situation that the parents of one of the shooters in the United States have now been sentenced to jail. And I think, and I agree with brother, I'm not sure who said it, but parents have a significant role to play. Teachers cannot be everything to our children. You have a significant responsibility. You have a significant responsibility. You have to fill in the gaps, but the gaps should not be intentionally created. Parents have a responsibility to make sure that some of these implements are kept out of the hands of some of our young people. But I spoke about social media and access only to say to you that there have always been challenges. Sometimes they seem more vicious now. But let us remember that all of us have a responsibility to all the rest of us. And so we cannot give up on trying to instill in our young people the values that will help them to be able to resolve the conflicts that will come. Because there will always be conflicts. Like I said, I've lived almost all of my life with teachers. So I know that there's conflict at the level of students, but I also know. Yeah, I know. I know. So there's always conflict. And the art of resolving conflict is something that educators have to sometimes learn and then model for students. That's going to be important. Even a twin will have differences. My late sister and I, we had a lot of differences. We weren't twin, but we were flesh and blood from the same parents. But there's always going to be conflict. But we have to be able to resolve our conflicts, and then we have to be able to model that. Now, I'm not trying to say that you will reach every student, because there's been no generation where those who educate have been able to turn every student. That has never happened. I don't think it will ever happen. We're not living in heaven. This is Barbados. But we have to recognize that in today's world, there has to be that increased focus, I'll use that word, on conflict resolution. So that at the level, and I'm going to step into a little bit of an ant's nest here, at the level of the friendly association between the Barbados Union of Teachers and the Ministry of Education, the students who are in the public, I'm not talking about the adults, I'm talking about young people, the students need to realize that you can have robust exchange, but that you can be civil, and at the end of the day, you can have resolution. Because all young people are looking on. And all of you are educators, and you know that one of the things young people are quick to say, or quick to identify, is when there is some distance between what you're saying. Hypocrisy and hypocrite is one of the terms that young people use very often. They like to pick up on these things. And it means that as adults, and for you as educators, well, all of us may be educators, but you're in the formal educational system. You have to be able to model real life. Dispute, disagreement, civility, and ultimately resolution. And I think when we do that, that modeling will actually go further than speaking it and trying to convince our young people. There is an area that I also want to speak to with respect to your impact in the social sphere. And that has to do with lifelong learning and sustainable development. Teachers are known for doing courses, doing classes, even in the lengthy periods of vacation. I know that you are sometimes at Erdiston doing a course somewhere online. There are always things you are doing. That attention to lifelong learning. There are lots of teachers in clubs like Toastmasters. So when I heard the Deputy Chief Education Officer say, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, I know immediately that she's a Toastmaster. And that attention to continuous development, continuous professional development, is something that you have to continue doing, and it is something that you have to share with, or continue to, I don't want to say it as though you don't do it, continue to share with those who fall within your your frame of reference, those who you relate to on a daily basis, so that our young people must not leave an educational institution believing that that is the end of the road. If we are to become a developed society, and if we are to attain the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly Goal 4, then there's going to have to be continuous learning, continuous education, continuous development. We've become almost guinea pigs in that scenario, because when we went into the pandemic period, many older people who felt pretty good about where we were had to cope with using the technology. And many of us older people took a little while to get accustomed to the technology. And I think it was a wake-up call for all of us. It doesn't really matter how gray you are or how black your hair is. We have to be continually learning. No, we are now in a scenario where, with artificial intelligence and these rapid advances in technology, we have to stay up to date. As educators, we have to stay up to date, not just with the syllabus and the contents of the syllabus, but with how we deliver in terms of the education, the knowledge that we are imparting to our students. So all the points that I've made really illustrate the fact that educators are multifaceted and your contributions are multifaceted. You impact a country both economically and socially. In other words, its entire developmental trajectory is influenced by your work. It is influenced by your work. Your work is fundamental to our development, and so by recognizing your impact and by a country harnessing your inputs, we can do much as a country as we move forward to improve standards of living, to improve our country's profile, to improve how we live in our country. We are long past the stage or the age when a teacher's role was to inculcate what we used to refer to as the 3 R's, the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic. We're long past that. Your theme for this 50th Annual General Conference speaks to 50 and beyond. That's important. When you reach this kind of a milestone, as a matter of fact, for human beings, we sometimes do that projection when we reach 40. But 50 is not too late to do it. The future of work is changing and changing rapidly. That means that those who those who represent workers, unions, trade unions, those who represent workers cannot remain where they are if the world of work is changing. Now, the world of work has been changing progressively over the years, so changes in the world of work is not new. But the speed of change is a bit new. The speed of change in the world of work since the Industrial Revolution, this is probably the fastest that we are seeing developments in the world of work. Unions have to reinvent themselves. The trade union movement across the world, maybe in the past 20 to 30 years, has seen decline in membership. Some of it is a result of what I referred to earlier when I talk about selfishness. People believe that they can do things on their own, they can get through, they have the ability. And the word that you use all the time, which really should be the word that all of us use, that term solidarity. A lot of that has been lost. The recognition that I may be able to get through, but for you to get through, you may need my assistance. And we have to reinforce that in the minds of our people generally, but teachers have, you really have a really good opportunity because you influence the next generations. And so helping young people to understand solidarity is a mandate that you have to execute on and that you have to execute well on. We have to recognize that independence also includes an element of interdependence. And that is why, as a country, even as we moved to Republican status, to sever those formal ties with the monarchy in the UK, we also indicated to everyone that we are strongly a part of the CARICOM structure. Because even though we are independent, independence does not mean that you can do everything alone. It means that you have agency over your development, over your destiny and the trajectory, but we are all dependent on each other. We are social beings, and a society is made up of interlocking structures and systems. The future also speaks to a lot of personalized learning. And so all of learning will not take place in the classroom. And that is why I said earlier, we have to make sure that our young people, but our older people too, that their minds are stimulated to reach out and to get knowledge from places where there is knowledge. Now, you have a particularly difficult role in 2024 because there's a lot of stuff out there that carries the idea of knowledge, but it is what a person who shall remain nameless calls fake news. The one who popularized the term fake news. There's a lot of fake news out there. So while you encourage your students to reach out and look for education and information wherever it is, you now have the added responsibility. And I'm not saying this, I'm not arguing for any increase in pay on your behalf. The Minister of Labour is not responsible for that. No, so I'm not saying I'm not supporting you. It will help my domestic situation. But what I'm saying is that that is another responsibility that you have. Now trying to get people to understand the difference between genuine information and information that is not genuine. So your responsibility becomes increasingly difficult as the world of work changes, but you cannot step back from your responsibility. You've chosen to be educators, to be nurturers, to be developers, and so you have to recognize it and work with it. There's, in terms of the future of work, this that I'm going to refer to is not really new, but what we are seeing, and this has maybe something to do with dispute resolution as well, and working through differences. This matter of core skills. Core skills not necessarily in your curricula, in your syllabi, but core skills are absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary. I do not use the term, and I've banned my ministry from using the term soft skills because I do not know what soft skills are. Some of these terms, I did go to school, but there's some things I didn't grasp too well. I don't know what soft skills are, but I know that the literature speaks to soft skills and hard skills. Life skills, core skills, absolutely important. And I know from growing up that if a teacher had told me about soft skills, I would have figured that those skills were for the girls. And I'm saying we have to treat to our reality. We have to say what we mean. These skills are core skills. Conflict resolution is one of those. Communication. And the more devices we have, it seems as though sometimes the less we communicate, and I'm not speaking to what the president reads in the paper with all the rest of us, I'm just talking about communication among people. We have to focus on developing these core skills. One of the reasons why we have moved from STEM to STEAM, we've moved from STEM to STEAM because it can't just be about what we call these hard things, science and tech and mathematics and engineering. If these things are to work, they have to be within the context of creativity, understanding our humanity, and relating to each other. We are not objects. So that focus on core skills is important. Now, I am going to shut up very shortly because I believe I've been talking a little bit too long already. But I'll just say to you that as a country, and I think as a world, because you listen to news and watch news just like many of the rest of us do, if you're not too turned off by it, the world is at a pivotal place, geopolitically, from a climate perspective, and from a human interaction perspective. And you find yourself at this point in your 50th year, or on the celebration of your 50th annual general meeting. You are at this place at this time, and you cannot change history. So you cannot change this to be your 20th year. This is your 50th year. And at half a century in cricket, and we are about to host the T20 tournament. In cricket, usually at 50, people take fresh guard. No, we're not talking about the West Indies, because we're talking about people who reach to 50. When you reach to 50, you normally take fresh guard, because when you reach 50, your sights are set on the century. And so you want to make sure that you can stay at the crease. From a union's perspective, to do that, you have to remain relevant. You have to remain attractive to potential members. You have to maintain a constructive approach. You have to be not just relevant, not just attractive to potential new members, but in our society, you're also going to have to take into consideration public perception, because that also impacts potential membership of your organization. And I just will leave with you that as you celebrate, and celebrate you must, because reaching 50 is a cause for celebration. And given all that you have done to contribute to our national development, you owe it to yourself to celebrate this significant achievement. While you celebrate, think about how you move forward. And I encourage you to position yourself, position this organization to be able to continue contributing to our national development. We owe a lot to your organization, and we want, as we move forward, to ensure that this organization continues to contribute to national development. Congratulations on reaching 50, and I wish you a productive conference this year, but I look forward to your meaningful contributions as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Jordan. You certainly gave us a lot to think about. You definitely acknowledge the significant role that teachers have played and must continue to play in this changing work environment. And we have taken all your advice, and I'm sure that the audience has as well. But just note that the BUT and its members will continue to do our best for our nation's children and also for our members. I'm going to invite Sister Marcia. Minister, are you early and allow you to sit? Just join us up here again for a token of our appreciation. No, I'm telling him when he's coming back. I'm not giving you the lady.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to do it again. Minister Jordan, it is my esteemed pleasure to offer on behalf of the Barbados Union of Teachers, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary, this token of appreciation to you for so willingly consenting to be our featured speaker. And I'm sure that your words of wisdom and your willing support will go a long way to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, you go.
We're going to have a light moment shortly, but before we get there, just want to, as we speak a little bit about the history. Anybody remembers the school meals issue? Right. That was the matter. The early days when teachers did all the school meals duties, there were no school meals workers as such. And it became a point where it was felt that teachers should continue these duties even without a lunch hour. And the BUT had to flex its muscles. So BUT in some way contributed to employment of school meals workers as it is today. You have to clap for that. Hands-off school meals. Rich Mark, remember that? Yeah. And then another one was the Barbara Smith case. These are things before my time. Don't think I was there. It was before my time. This was in 1978, actually, and I was just joining the teaching service. I joined the teaching service in October 1978. So, Barbara Smith was the principal at the Westbury School, and she was also an executive member of the BUT. Pardon me? Oh, Ferry, okay, got you. Right. Well, it was reported that she had made an uncomplimentary remark about the Prime Minister in the schoolyard to her colleagues. You know who the Prime Minister was in 1978? Right. Yeah. She was summoned to the Permanent Secretary's office the next day, but informed him that the union had called strike action for its members on that day and that she was unable to attend since she was an executive member. Mrs. Smith attended the union strike action and was suspended without pay by the Permanent Secretary. You know, Permanent Secretary has so much power. Things have changed. The authorities' actions were inappropriate and wrong, and Mrs. Smith was reinstated. But that's basically the conclusion. The union flexed its muscles again, and the lady was reinstated. So just to show you some of the testing early times of the BUT in the 1970s, when the union was just a baby in those days. Muscles galore. Let me use this opportunity to acknowledge Grantley Osborne. Grantley Osborne was a long-serving member of the executive of the BUT. I think he told me he served from the 70s until close to 1990. Right. Long-serving member. Also, let me recognize my brother and friend, Brother Richmark Cave, who served on the executive consecutively from 1999 until his retirement in 2022 it was. Right. I'll join you soon. Right. Yeah. So, to the lighter moment, let me invite Genesis. This is a steel pan group from the foundation school, and we have Akidria Buffett and Kaya Sherlin who will perform for us. Pardon me? Oh, well, I don't have that info. My correction, Kaya is a student of the Corrigan Prairie School. My apologies. BCC now, when they tell me all of that, what are they doing to me at all? Yeah. The work of our teachers. Oh, you're not finished. Well done, ladies, well done. Thank you. I'm sure that they were taught by teachers. Another round of applause. Another round of applause. Let me acknowledge the Director of Media Resource, Ministry of Education, Mr. Berkeley Law. It's good to see the director here working at this time of the night. Thank you. Thank you, Berkeley. Let me just acknowledge Sister Asha Yewood. Asha, stand up. People want to see you. You're hot? Oh, okay. Right. Asha also served as a member of the executive until July last year, when she moved on to another job. So she's no longer in the public service, but very much a beauty person. All the best, Asha, in your endeavors. I'm going to invite Sister Stacia Springer to bring the vote of thanks.
Sorry about that. Featured speaker, the Honorable Colin Jordan, Minister of Labor, Social Security, and Third Sector. The Honorable Cynthia Ford, Minister of Parliament for St. Thomas. The President of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Brother Rudy Lovell. Master of Ceremony, Brother Herbert Giddens. Mrs. Joy Adamson, Deputy Chief Education Officer of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Presidents and General Secretaries of National Trade Unions and C2SAB. Past Presidents of the Barbados Union of Teachers. Current Executive Members of the Barbados Union of Teachers. Past Executive Members of the Barbados Union of Teachers. Barbados Union of Teachers members, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. The word thanks originates from the Latin word tongere. Loosely translated, it basically means, I will remember what you have done for me. A blessed good evening. Permit me to introduce myself. My name is Stacia Springer, Executive Member of the Barbados Union of Teachers, and I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion, the Golden Jubilee, the 50th Annual General Conference of the Barbados Union of Teachers. I, on behalf of the President and fellow executive members of this distinguished union, the Barbados Union of Teachers, would like to express gratitude to all those who have in any way contributed to making this event a resounding success. Beauty, 50 and beyond. None of this would have been possible without the Almighty God, because for his bountiful mercies, we are indeed indebted. I would also like to thank, at this time, the Reverend Lennox Boyce for invoking God's blessings. Your opening prayer definitely set the tone for the success of this event. Again, I thank you. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation to Brother Dennis DePisa for your encouraging words on behalf of C2SAB. Sister Tara Durant, we appreciate you for reading fraternal greetings on behalf of the NUPW. Mrs. Joy Adamson, Deputy Chief Education Officer of the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, we thank you for your encouraging words. Our President, Mr. Rudy Lovell, as usual, your comprehensive report reminds us of the strength of beauty. We are 50 and going beyond. Sister Sonjina Curtin, your performance was truly mesmerizing. We thank you. My heart also goes out to graciously thank our featured speaker, the Honorable Colin Jordan. You reminded us that we must work hard to ensure that industrial relations are not destroyed. Your words were truly moving and evocative. I am truly inspired to continue to be the catalyst to develop the young minds I teach. Yes, we must stay up to date with our pedagogy as we influence the next generation. We will take fresh guard as we move forward to the century. Thank you for accepting our invitation and doing such a remarkable job. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to you, Sister Marsha Burke. We want to thank you for your eloquence as you presented our featured speaker with a token of our appreciation. How can I forget to mention the steel panelists, Miss Kedra Brathwaite and Miss Kaya Sherland from the band Genesis, who blessed our ears with that melodious rendition. Thank you. I also owe special gratitude to you, our audience. Your presence here tonight shows us clearly that beauty will be 50 and beyond. We cannot go on without you. To the office staff of the Barbados Union of Teachers and the technical crew here tonight, your hard work behind the scenes does not go unnoticed. We thank you. I will not keep you any longer, as I know all of us are in anxious expectation of the cornucopia of sumptuous namkins, amuse gallows, canapes, and of course, those aperitifs, which await us. And for that, we thank the management and staff of the Radisson for their superb service. If I have not forgotten to thank anyone tonight for the success of this opening ceremony, it is a mere slip of the tongue and not of the heart. We have great challenges and great opportunities, and with your help, we will continue to make them 50 and beyond. Long live BUT. Long live. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Stacia, and it's just for me to say thank you.